Good evening. Welcome to the May 2020-21 school board meeting. I will call the meeting to order and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving to the consent agenda, item 2.1. Please note that all members are present. Item 2.2, conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest to disclose? Okay, seeing none, moving to item 2.3, review and approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item 2.2 has been approved. Moving to, 2.3 has been approved. Item 2.4, approval of minutes from the April 12th and 26th, 2021 board meetings. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
We've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right, item 2.4 has been approved. Item 2.5, receive financial reports for April 2021.
Thank you. In the general fund, revenue received included a small amount of tax proceeds along with the regular state aid payment. Expenditures, in which include a temporary transfer to special education in the amount of $250,000, exceeded revenue for the month as anticipated for April. Receipting of the CARES allocations in previous months creates an influx in ending cash balance over previous years. Capital outlay in special education received revenue consisting of anticipated tax proceeds and interest income. When the $250,000 temporary transfer from general fund is retained from the special education revenue, expenditures exceeded the revenue allocation as typical for April. A drawdown of federal funds in the first half of property taxes from 2020, payable in 2021, is anticipated in May to increase this fund's cash balance at month end. The revenue received in the fund of Lake Area Tech was relatively moderate and consisted of several different sources. The month's expenditure significantly exceeded revenue, and the ending cash position of this fund continues to reflect improvement. Lake Area Technical College Bookstore and Educare saw revenue over expenditures during the month, whereas the bookstore had moderate sales and was significantly exceeded by the expenditures for the month. Within the operation of the K-12 enterprise funds, the Nutrition Service Fund received a significant payment of federal revenue as associated under the SSO operation of providing free meals to students. The ending cash balance of this fund continues to increase. Activity in the other funds of driver's education, preschool services, and clubs and scholarships was routine. I would be happy to answer any questions should you have any.
Thank you, Mrs. Clausen. Are there any questions? Okay, moving on to item 2.6, student and staff recognition. Dr. Danielson.
Thank you. Good evening. We do have one student to be recognized tonight. From our club figure skating team, we had a U.S. figure skating gold medalist senior level designation, and that would go to Rachel Scheit. So let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you. Okay, discussion items for Lake Area Technical College. Item 3.1, is there any public input on agenda or non-agenda items for Lake Area Technical College? Okay. Item 3.2, Lake Area Technical College update, the 2021 graduation and awards. President Cartney.
And some of the accolades that Lake Area Tech's received throughout this year. Our graduation will be on this Friday at 4 p.m. This will be our 56th anniversary, our 54th graduation ceremony. We'll recognize 6 of our retirees at this. And the state welcome will be by Nick Wendell, who is the Executive Director for the State Board of Technical Education. Our commencement speaker will be Secretary of Department of Labor and Regulation, Marsha Holtman. Next slide, please. This class, class of 2021, will be The first class to graduate from Lake Area Technical College, as you recall, we changed our name to college this last July, so they'll be the first set of recognized college graduates. 842 graduates, 157 of them come from outside of South Dakota, and 33% are veterans. You can see the other statistics on our grads there. This class just quickly, 72% of them were employed, and 40% of those were working 20 or more hours a week while they were going to school. So, yet they did manage to do almost 100,000 hours of community service and service learning. A lot of that had to do was in relation to the pandemic and supporting different organizations around town. Looking forward to strong investment in the future. You know, we did almost $1 million in scholarships and $1.2 million through the Build Dakota, and an additional $786,000 through the Stretch to Million partnership there. So that's over $300 million, or I'm sorry, $3 million that the community invested in our students to go as they went through college. Of course, the big thing was the name change. We got a new logo, new look, and had a rebranding campaign, as well as some significant website upgrades. If you haven't been out to our site, I'd certainly invite you to do so. It also includes now virtual tours that were put in place because of the pandemic, so students could come and visit Lake Area Tech, not only if it was if they were having because of COVID and those restrictions, but also we found it very, very helpful for students to live the distance away to be able to take a virtual tour. And of course, we went back to back. Our graduation will be both face-to-face and as will our orientations. Next slide, please. Some of the accolades that Lake Area Tech received this year, we had the ATEA, that's the Association of Technical Education of America. Greg Klein received the National Teacher of the Year Award. One of the aviation students, Ian, received the National Outstanding Technical Education Student of the Year. Brady Bracco was named the McTeacher of the Month last month. And our own Diane Stiles is being interviewed for the Aspen Rising President's Fellowship, which is quite a privilege to be recognized that way. And also, the ATA Outstanding Trustee of the Year was one of our faculty members, Brooks Jacobson, and the ATA Partnership Award for this year went to Prairie Lakes Healthcare in their support and work that they did with Lake Area Tech. And also, our nursing program was ranked #1 in the nation by the nursing organizations. We are also featured in Illumina magazine, Best Practices in Advising Students. The Aspen Prize, or the Aspen authored a book called Student Success in Community College, What Really Works. We are one of 4 colleges featured in that publication. And also Excellence in Equity, often called the Siemens Award. Our welding program was a recipient of that, and that came along with $50,000 in scholarships for our students. So you can see some of the other achievements that we have there. We remain nationally ranked in someplace everywhere from 1st to 3rd in the nation. So, and of course, one of the big things we received was for the named by MSN as the top trade school in the nation. Next slide, please. And also the recognition that we received from Mackenzie Scott, as announced earlier today by Governor Noem, the $10 million gift, impact gift that she gave us for the reasons that you can see listed there: the proven leadership, a history of a significant impact, and then continuing to operate during the COVID. Next slide, please. So those are some of the accolades, and as well as a little bit about the graduation, the class of 2021, if there's any questions. Okay.
Thank you. Amazing. Okay, we're moving on to 4.0, action items for Lake Area Technical College, starting with personnel at 4.1. 4.1.1, resignations.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, in front of you, 6 resignations. One of those resignations, Kyle Thomas, as noted in his letter, is requesting a waiver of the 60-day notice. And in light of the situation, we are recommending that you support that waiver and would seek approval of the other resignations as presented.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second for the resignations. Any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, item 4.1.1 has Passed. Item 4.1.2, contract recommendations and addendums.
Yes, ma'am. The one non-renewal that you see, that is for a position that is, the person is actually staying on as the Build Dakota Executive Director, but she is, the position is simply being moved to the South Dakota Community Foundation. So that is, although it's a non-renewal for Lake Area Tech, we just want to make sure that people understand that Denny is still keeping her position. The other contract recommendations, the number of the full-time positions those are people who will be starting next fiscal year, with the exception of Megan Rodriguez at the bottom. She is starting, I believe, the 17th of this month. The other items are typical for this time of year, and we'd recommend your approval of the contract recommendations and addendums.
Okay, so just to clarify, on this sheet, we have the non-renewal listed higher.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And in the agenda, so I'll just,
Sorry
you've
about
explained both of them? No, but I'll just start with the motion for the contract recommendations and addendums. Is there a motion to approve 4.1.2?
So moved.
And a second? Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and then we have the explanation for 4.1.3 on the non-renewal. Is there a motion for that item? And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we've got both of those items approved. Moving to 4.1.4, authority to hire.
Thank you. I apologize for
Nope, that's okay.
Yes, Lake Area Tech requests the authority to hire a full-time retention coordinator. Currently, the retention coordinator position also manages the dual credit program, and we're proposing splitting that into two positions. So adding the dual credit enrollment has grown from 72 students in the fall of 2014 when it was established to 326 students, so a significant increase, not only in the number of students, but also most recently there's been some significant regulatory requirements passed by the legislature for the dual credit program. The additional, at the same time, our student population has grown 43% since 2014. We established the dual credit, the retention coordinator in 2012. Even if you discount the student population, the dual credit students out of there, we still have over a 22% growth in the college student population, and that continues to grow. So this is in direct support of our retention goals and our strategic plan, and would also lead to the development of the new student success course. So therefore, we request the authority to hire the retention coordinator.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to, with the authority to hire the retention coordinator.
Got a motion and a second? Any comments or questions? Okay, I just did have a couple of questions. Just with regards to splitting off of the two jobs, and I've just gotten information
Sure.
prior to coming here, but we're going to separate the two jobs. Is there a reason why the salary is staying the same for the dual credit person when that job, half or part of it's getting split away and moved to someone? If we would complete, or if we'd follow through with this retention, or
Yes. Their workload is not shifting. Really, there's what it is there's some significant work that we have not been doing on the retention coordinator side, and so with that shift, you'll see that this year, in fact, we're anticipating we're going to have a 2% reduction in our retention rate. Just that 2% reduction in retention rate is about 20 FTE. That 20 FTE would represent about $400,000 in tuition and fees, not counting also what we would receive from the state. So it's a significant impact when we lose retention. We haven't been paying attention to it the way we have. Last year we were considering this position, but we didn't because we were unsure the COVID environment, what was going on with student populations and so forth. So this is a proposal to help us address that. It represents work that's not currently being done today that should be being done. And so this is, even though we're adding the position, there is ample work and both of them will be fully employed.
Maybe I should have, because I
Sure.
understand the need for the retention officer. Is there a reason then why some of the salary is not being taken away if some of the job duties are being removed from the current position? If we've got this person getting this much and we're adding this, is this person needing to make less? Or how is that justified?
Their level of responsibility, even though the actual responsibilities themselves are not changing, but what exactly they will be doing to fill their 8 hours a day is going to be focused on dual credit. Today, they don't have as much as of the regulatory requirement that was just laid in with the in the legislative session prior year. And so they're going to take on all that responsibility. There has to be a lot more reporting to the state for the dual credit coordinator. So their role is changing. It's not just a matter, it's not just being reduced. And so although the specific responsibilities are shifting, the level of those responsibilities is not shifting.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions?
As far as dual credit, can you further explain in detail what exactly that person does for specific duties as they work through dual credit? Do they work with individual students? Is it just paperwork? Is it just data?
Yes, ma'am. It's a combination of all those things. The dual credit coordinator not only works with enrolling students, working with the counselors to make sure the students are qualified and so forth for the positions, but they also work with schools to set up dual credit programs. If there's going to be what's called a concurrent program or a dual credit program, they work to make sure the teachers are highly qualified. They work with both the school and our for credit side, our Dean of Academics, make sure that everybody involved meets what's called a highly qualified status for an instructor. They make sure that they are following our curriculum if it's a dual credit program and so forth. Then once the students are enrolled, they're responsible for monitoring the students, make sure that grades flow back and forth, that there's communications, that the students are in fact engaged and doing well. And now there is requirements. If a student doesn't pass, then they are required to either retake that course at their own cost or not take further dual credit, part of the governor's dual credit program. So there is some significant regulatory requirements on tracking with the other schools. If a student, anytime we get a student in, we have to make sure that they haven't failed at another college, including the Board of Regents side. So there's a coordination with the Board of Regents schools and the other technicals.
Is there an attendance requirement? If a student misses X number of classes, then they have to retake the class, or?
If they are an on-campus student, they have the same requirements as the college students that are on campus. If they're online, then attendance is handled differently based upon the course. So, but typically we always have attendance requirements in all of our courses.
All right. No further questions, comments? All right, seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the authority to hire, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item 4.1.3, stipend requests.
Yes.
4.1.5, stipend requests.
Yes, ma'am. Lake Area Tech fully supports our faculty pursuing higher degrees. You have in front of you a request for 3 stipends to help our faculty do just that as they pursue their degrees. We'd recommend approval of the requested stipends.
Is there a motion for 4.1.5?
Motion to approve the stipend request.
Thank you. We've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4.1.5 has been approved. Moving to property, item 4.2, 4.2.1, authority to bid student services remodel.
Yes, ma'am. We're requesting the permission to bid the student services remodel, and it's be a location near the library in the 200 building, just north of the library, in fact. What this represents is a consolidation of several of the, what I call the wraparound services for our students that we have throughout the facility today, or across campus today, bringing those to a single location and enabling the students to more easily access those services. So we're requesting the authority to go out and bid that remodel for that area.
Is there a motion for this authority to bid the student service remodel?
I move approval of the authority to bid the student services remodel.
Thank you. We've got a motion. Is there a second? Second. Are there comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item 4.2.1 has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I will move to discussion items for the Watertown School District 14-4. Item 5.1, is there anyone to speak on public input on agenda or not agenda items? Hi, welcome. Can you please state your name?
Marcy Klitsky.
Hello. And go ahead and...
Okay. Thank you for letting me speak. I am here tonight to address my frustrations and concerns with your 4-ticket policy for graduation. To be quite honest, it's a terrible decision. I'm not even sure why this is an issue. You've been hosting sporting events at the local and state levels with no restrictions for the past several months. State gymnastics, state basketball, and conference wrestling. You've also hosted local basketball games with no restrictions on numbers. So why is graduation the sword you're going to fall on? I know you as the school board are going to tell me this was an administrative decision. That doesn't matter. As elected representatives for this city, you should step up and address this with your administration and get it changed. If you as a school board cannot address differences of opinion and policy with your administration, what is your purpose? You should be standing up against this policy. I have 4 children. If I don't find an extra ticket, I can't even bring all of my kids to watch their sister graduate. And what are you saying about grandparents? Just forget you? Why are you okay with this? This is the biggest milestone in the high school career. It's the academic achievement, which is why we have kids at school, that each student has earned. And to my knowledge, the school is not organizing any kind of, or you're not letting parents know if there's extra tickets, you're not doing drawings. I have to plead my case on Facebook, talk to people, and you've put it on me to find tickets so that my children can watch their sister graduate high school. And why was this information not sent out till the end of last week? Personally, I think it was an intentional move to wait till you're so close to graduation that we can't change it. I did speak with some administrators today, and first of all, I was a bit put off that I was told that I needed to have a better attitude. They chastised my attitude. Are you kidding? What about the attitude of administrations that say we made this rule, don't question us? I don't know what everybody's so afraid of. In South Dakota, vaccinations have been made available to most people who want to get them, and those who feel more comfortable wearing masks should wear them. I don't understand why you seem so concerned with what I would guess is the minority that worries about this versus the majority that would rather have a traditional, regular graduation. I've also been told that you're not having your band play at graduation. You're having 4 musicians perform for graduation. Why? Why would you not have your band perform at graduation? Throughout this academic year, it has been with great disappointment that I've attended concerts at your school. You have kids masked, standing or sitting 6 feet apart, even at pep band. I saw a picture of a percussionist sitting on the bottom row of bleachers just a few feet from your basketball court, wearing a mask and 6 feet apart from all other band members. Were the basketball players masking as they ran up and down the court? I mean, we're talking bodily contact, breathing on each other, sweating on each other, probably spitting on each other. Man-to-man defense, bodies right next to each other. But I bet you didn't make them mask, but you made your fine arts kids mask. What was your reason for not hosting the Region 1-Act play competition in January? Again, you hosted multiple other tournaments and events. Why didn't you host 1-Act this year? Why do you seem so willing to give your fine arts kids lesser experiences than your athletes? Because that's what you did. You sent the message that sports holds more value than fine arts, so you're going to work to make the sports events as normal as possible, but the fine arts will just hit you with a bunch of restrictions. And lastly, why didn't you allow prom to take place? Because you didn't have prom. You had a grand march, and then there was an amazing after prom party that many parents from this community worked very hard to make a memorable night. And it was, but you didn't have prom. Why was the dance the part that was considered the COVID hazard? What about the 4 to 5 hours the kids spent hanging out together at the post-prom party? Did you not think germs would be shared there? I'm concerned that your choices seem full of double standards, and it's not right. And somebody needed to speak up and address this with you. I'm actually pretty disappointed with how you've handled your COVID restrictions this year, because you did not follow the same guidelines for every activity. And now you're putting a huge damper on graduation, which again should be the biggest achievement of a student that goes to school. It's something to be proud of. I am asking that you work to get this decision changed. Thank you.
Thank you for that information and for your concern. Is there anyone else to speak on? This is not a board issue tonight. Is there anyone else to speak from the public on this information or any other non-agenda items?
Necessarily works, but decisions like this, I think it's important that
We need to get your name, please.
Justin Klicksky.
Thank you.
I think it's important to understand who makes the decision. I want to focus on the graduation 4 tickets. Who makes this decision, and how is the authority given to them to make that decision?
Currently, and that's what it's not a policy. The tickets is not a policy. It was not brought to the board. I have just heard, actually, secondhand, some concerns that have just come forward. So I've tried to pull together just some numbers and some information. So I appreciate hearing and knowing about this. It's valid information that you're bringing forward and a request. During a school board meeting, and I'm just hearing that this was brought forward to some administrators today, and so I'm just hearing that information. But it's also not an action item for our board to be addressing at this point. We do have a representative in we have our high school principal here, but this is not a policy. This would be something that then the school board would have to discuss. It has to become an agenda item to have a board move on something like this.
And that's fine. The thing I would add to this is the senior parents got a letter a few days ago saying that there'd be 4 tickets. Some families, I'm not saying in our case, but some families may have people traveling to come to graduation. I think, and if it can't be addressed here, I would like to see in a letter like that why that decision's being made, the background, what's been studied to find out why that is. Has the state public health been contacted? And what's the justification for a decision like that? Because I feel like as we get a letter, it's just, here it is. Live with it. And no, that's, and as board members, you're elected members, but you guys deal with the administration and hiring. And so all that, I think, there needs to be a way that parents can feel like that decision was made with enough thought and not just a few people or a few people that, how many people did you hear from that decided that they ain't coming? One example my wife said that she heard from the administrators today was, we thought some people would feel uncomfortable coming to graduation. Well, Okay, so you give that, if you did have more students coming, you gave them the opportunity to make a decision. But by making it 4 tickets, you took decision away completely from grandparents, even maybe some siblings, I mean, bigger families. And, you know, for us, a graduation, we go to all our graduations, we have cousins even come. It's a big deal, I mean, and to do 4. It just, that seems very ridiculous in the stage we're at in the pandemic. I just feel like it's people, I don't feel like the decisions are representing the people.
I completely appreciate the perspective that you're coming from, and I'm glad that you're voicing concerns and bringing them forward. Actually, what the board is responsible for is establishing policy for the district and the hiring and follow through with the superintendent. Then the superintendent makes recommendations based on the administration. So just to understand, we're not the ones hiring the administration. We authorize or formalize that, and we okay that. But there have been some things that have happened. For instance, Chi Days. That was not a board decision. That was done at a high school level. And so I think we will take this information. It doesn't fall on dead ears. We cannot act on it tonight, and this is not to be a dialogue back and forth. This is a board meeting happening here. But I think there are 5 people sitting here that have obvious concerns and want to do the right thing. It might not make everybody happy, but you have to give us some time to take this information and follow up with some discussion on this.
Okay, and I guess, I don't know who I can talk to, but I would like to know how the decision of 4 tickets came about. And I hope it's not just, we feel it's the best decision. I'm hoping that there's research and something to back up that decision, because I know it doesn't represent the people.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else to speak on non-agenda or agenda items? All right, moving forward to item 5.2, the Northeast Technical High School report.
Thank you. We did meet as a group of superintendents on Tuesday, May 4th. And then the full board of Northeast Tech will meet on Wednesday, May 19th at 5:45. And I do want to put a plug in. Northeast Tech is hosting their project day this Wednesday, the 12th. So if you want to stop by, I think it even starts sometime in the afternoon there and goes, it's for sure from 5 to 7 on that night. So stop on in and check out some of those projects. And we're hoping for no rain because some of it's outdoors. So.
And another push on that, it will be socially distanced, so they are not going to have a bunch of things in the hallways. They're spreading things out. But if you've never gone and you want Adirondack chairs, we've been told they've got Adirondack chairs.
I've seen the allotment.
Okay.
There are.
So, and to see the talent and the things that happen in that school, it's well worth your while to attend that.
So the doors open at noon with the silent auction starting, and they'll end the silent auction at 6:30.
Okay. Noon to 6:30. Thank you for the clarification on the hours.
All right, then we have item 5.3, K-12 graduation report. Mr. Bransrud.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Brad Bransrud, principal at the high school. I'm here to report on our graduation at the high school. Our graduation is planned for its original date that was scheduled on Sunday, May 30th at 2:00 p.m. in the Watertown Civic Arena. We are looking for 269 graduates this year. That's from 247 graduates last year. So we're up about 20 students, I would say, on that. Of those 269 graduates, we look for all but 10 of them to be participating in our graduation ceremony. We have 259 that we're planning on walking at this point. Some do change their minds by the time we get to our practice. Our Practice or rehearsal is scheduled for next Wednesday, so we'll do our run-through at that time. I also wanted to share with you, of those 269 graduates, 22 of those are early graduates, and of that, the majority of them, 15 of those 22 early grads, are walking in the ceremony. We have 4 junior early grads this year who are finishing after their 3rd year, have completed their requirements for graduation. In addition, we have 13 senior non-grads. So we've identified 13 seniors at this point that we would know will be continuing into the next year to finish up and to graduate. And we have 9 seniors this year that discontinued their graduation. Last year, we had 11 non-grads, and we have graduated 7 of those 11 non-grads this year. We had 14 students last year. It was kind of a tough year there at the end of COVID. 14 discontinued their education last year. So our numbers are down a little bit from those, which is good. All in all, this puts us at 92% for graduation rate right now, and that's not taking in part the students that we plan to have come back next year and finish. So that will put that figure up over the 92% for graduation. Our ceremony, which will take place on the 30th, we are planning to live stream and broadcast that over GovTV simultaneously. Working with Casey Feiniger over here and some others, Ben Walder from Lake Area Technical College, to help us with that. Job so that we can get that out to our families. That was something that we had done traditionally for years, and I think maybe for the last couple that hadn't been done as frequently. So we're going to try to get back to that tradition and get that done on an annual basis. We understand that, coming into the arena, it's a large facility. We do have some handicap accessible features in it, but there's still a number of stairs and steps to climb. So there are some people I know that would rather watch from home. At this point, we are planning for student speeches. We have 3 seniors, Julian Block, Savannah Isaacson, and Sadie Moran will deliver the messages. We are also auditioning for a small music ensemble to perform live at the event. Right now, it's our intention to keep the floor for our students and graduates. We're going to spread the chairs out a little bit, so they will, with 259 students, take up most of the floor by creating some social distancing there. That's what the plan is. And then to keep the upper bowl open for our guests that's coming in. Earlier it was asked, how did we drive at a 4-ticket capacity or a 4-ticket offering? Right now, that's simply based on some COVID protocols that we've been following at Watertown High School. 4 tickets right now takes the number of grads that we have walking up to about a 62% capacity in that upper bowl. In the past, we've had some events going on up there where we have blocked off, every other row, some things like that. So that's one of the reasons, that is the reason, I guess, that we came up with that. 5 tickets per family would put us at a approximately 73% capacity. And then 7 tickets would be about the max. That'd be about filling us up at 1,820 capacity. So that would be at 89% capacity if we went as high as 7 tickets. That's why we decided on the 4, because it kept it about 50%, a little bit over at 60. So that was the original thought in that, to do some social distancing there as well. We have, of our graduates, for your information, we have 77 of them that have earned the Regents Honors Diploma. And of those 77, 17 of those will earn the President's Award. I'm open for any questions you might have.
Are there any questions? I do have, I was trying to see if anybody else had some. I'm running some calculations up here on, okay, go ahead, Scott.
Mr. Brands, I'm just going to make a comment, regarding the tickets and things. If there's any way that, the high school could facilitate the trying to get tickets that people aren't going to use and try and be the center for that to help if there are any extra tickets around, that they could somehow give them to your office and then make them available to other people. I don't know. It's probably a hassle either way, but just a thought.
It's a good question, and I have had a parent reach out to me today with that suggestion, kind of a lottery type system, and that's something that we can look at. We've not really talked about that as far as getting extra tickets back so that we can make sure that the tickets are getting used. You know, we have very little experience with this. Fortunately, it's something that we don't do often. Last year when we did have our event out at the stadium, we did do a ticket event there. And I know that families at that point pretty much contacted each other over social media to try to find an extra ticket. And I don't, you know, I'm not going to hesitate from stopping anybody from doing something like that. But if we can create a system, which is something we could advertise in our next letter that's going out, which will have the tickets that we're going to provide for families. That's in our second letter that will be coming out here in about a week and a half. That's instructions that we could certainly give them, is to return the tickets that they're not using, and we can put those in some kind of a lottery system and have people contact us if they need extra tickets. So that's something that we can look at. It was brought up to my knowledge as well about, you know, having the event outside. Well, I know that there are issues. SDSU had their event outside last week, and it wasn't a very pleasant day for them. Any day that you not have rain on a graduation, of course, is good, but it also limits our ability to broadcast the event, you know, so that others can watch it from home as well. So that's why having it in the arena, I think, is still a good idea, but we just need to figure out, I guess, exactly what we want to do with COVID protocols.
So are you looking for guidance from the board on what to do with COVID protocols?
Right now, you know, we have it set at that 60%. So I would say, yes, Ms. Leonard's, is that if the board and the community of Watertown was feeling, you know, it's a balancing act, because just as I may have people that feel uncomfortable that we're not filling the arena with our guests, I may have, as I mentioned earlier, to some parents, that I may have some families that are uncomfortable if they come and the, you know, and the arena is packed with people. So it's been a balancing act, I guess, that we've been trying to walk through. But in asking for guidance and suggestion and help, absolutely, yeah.
Can you run through the percents and tickets and capacity again?
Yes. Right now, with the number of graduates, which is right at that about 260 mark, we'll call it, we have 2,050 seats approximately in the upper bowl of the arena. So if we give each graduate 4 tickets, and we also give 4 tickets out to any secondary households. There's some graduates that have more than one household, because of some split families. So our plan was to give every household those 4 tickets so they would be accommodated. That puts us at 60% capacity of those 2,050 seats. And I know that if we just went up 1 ticket to 5 tickets, that would raise the level to 73% capacity of the 2,050 seats. And then I went to maximum. 8 tickets, if we gave to every graduate, would take us over capacity. We wouldn't have enough seats if they all showed up. So if I drop it down to 7 tickets, that would put us at 89% capacity, and that would fill almost 1,850 seats.
How about any thought to opening the D.D. Miller? It has a huge broadcast screen, has 1,023 seats, has an overflow.
Yeah, I don't, you know, I'm trying to think right now, Ms. Moulton, about how would you, there's got to be through data a way we could bring up, I suppose, the YouTube stream, you know, into the D.D. Miller. Yeah, I suppose that's a possibility. We do use that for lining up our graduates, however, before we start with our show. So that would make that pretty difficult to manage.
Does this include the bleachers being pulled down on the south side?
No, it doesn't. This would be no bleachers at this point pulled down. We are trying to see where 260 seats. We had at Grand March for our prom, we had 149, we'll call it 150 couples there. And there we put the seats together for each couple. And the 150 seats, kind of socially distanced, took up most all of the arena floor. So with 260 seats, we know that we're going to have to diminish the number of, or we're going to have to increase the number of rows that we have. So we're going to have to slide everything a little closer from front to back in order to accommodate those 260 seats if we give them some social distancing. Is another reason why we're looking at not having the band set up, which would just take more of the real estate from the floor.
So how is this graduation different than Lake Area's? It's 800 some graduates as far as distancing.
As I understand, Lake Area is not making any precautions for COVID. That's what I was told just this afternoon. Their ticketed event is simply to, I think, regulate the number of family members that can come based on the number of graduates they have. Am I wrong on that?
You want me to address? What we'll do is the new CDC regulation is 3 feet if you're masked. So we will we'll adhere to as well as we can to the CDC guidance, and we do have the bleachers come down when we have our students in. So we're weighing through that right now. We're going at 50% capacity. But that includes the bleachers coming down. So we're at 4 tickets per graduate. But we also, not all of our students will walk. So you see 872 grads, at least 200 of those are online students and so forth. We will have between 500 and 600 that will actually participate in the ceremony. So.
Thank you.
I have a few questions. You said there were 140 couples at prom. I know this is a graduation thing, but I'm trying to compare these apples to apples.
To compare, it was 149 couples.
149
yep, call it
couples.
150. Yep.
Okay, so 300 kids.
Yes.
So more than, and they could only sit upstairs. I'm sorry, the parents.
Yep,
so if somebody wants
adults.
to come and watch, the adults.
Yes.
And that capacity is 2,050.
Correct.
And was that a ticketed event as far as a limitation to?
No, it wasn't a ticket event. In the past, when we have, first of all, they do sell seats for prom. Mm-hmm. It is a money raiser, it's a fundraiser. We quite often will get maybe one of the parents, maybe both parents will come, maybe a sibling. It usually isn't the family event that we've seen in the past, where grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, those types of things attend, where they're coming to watch the prom. Which is one of the reasons why we felt as if with the number of couples that we had that we didn't need to do any restrictions other than just asking people to wear masks, requiring that and to get spread out and social distance.
And so do you have any idea of how many people sat in those seats up?
You know, I think somebody has the number on that because obviously we sold tickets and we counted, so I don't know exactly how many came to that event. But in looking at the event, there was some social distancing that was going. I mean, not every chair was full.
Were rows taped off to keep people apart up there, or people could sit wherever they wanted to?
I think they went and sat wherever they wanted to at that event. Yes.
Okay. I mean, I guess time is of the utmost importance. Mm-hmm. You've got a lot of people planning for graduation at this point. This is really supposed to be a presentation, and yet it kind of has to get settled, and you're asking and looking for guidance.
Yes, and I think one of the reasons why the letter went out when it did and the decision was made when it was is the first thing that went out was a push notification, just the fact that we were planning our graduation on the same day. And that was much earlier. So there's a number of students that wanted to get things printed, as far as when they were having their graduation parties and where the event was taking place, to advertise to family members for their mailed literature. The next notification that went out was the number of tickets that we would be planning for. We didn't include the tickets at that point for the reason that either A, we didn't know what would happen between the beginning of May or end of April and the end of May, as far as what COVID might look like too. So that was another reason why, things were communicated when they were.
So I guess what I'm looking for from the board is looking at what your thoughts are on if Mr. Bransrud is looking for some direction. I did the math between the 5, we've got 5 tickets, this is 73% capacity. 7 was at 89%, and so with 6 tickets, it's falling at about 81% capacity for those number of seats. Go ahead.
COVID has presented yet another decision in which the impossible is asked, right? I mean, it's just one of those things where you're not going to please everybody. And I know that Dr. Danielson, President Cartney, yourself, nobody just threw a dart at the dartboard and said, hey, 4 is the number. There was thought that went into it. And is there supporting documents, supporting evidence? We're just trying to do the best that we can to not be reckless, yet allow for some people to attend the graduation. Hearing the numbers for the first time as far as the occupancy rates, my personal opinion is I feel like we've got room to bump that up a little bit. But again, I'm just one lone vote, and if you polled everybody in this entire room, everybody's going to have their own separate opinion too. I do feel as though the comment that was made by Justin earlier, that at this point in the pandemic, perhaps we can be a little bit more on the aggressive side, and those that choose not to attend because they would feel less comfortable in that setting can make that choice, and it is being streamed online, so that is an option. So my personal opinion is I feel like we can be a little bit more aggressive with it.
I would concur. I think we can bump it up.
Looks like Tammy's nodding her head. I agree also. We were at the stadium last year. It was outside, not on the date planned, with a 5,000 seating capacity, and we were given 6 tickets. People at that point, we didn't know a lot about COVID. I was also pro-masks at the beginning of the year, mandating them, and that did not happen. And so people have been given some personal choice in, you want to send your child to school without a mask on? Here's the follow-up on what's going to happen if there's close contact. But I think at this point, graduation is a big deal. That's why we're all here. And so if we can bump that number up, I think that you're hearing it's the guidance and concurrence of the board. We would be okay with that.
I'll ask, clarifying though, you're still comfortable with a ticketed event, just look at a higher number, correct? So meaning 6 or 7. But there's a comfort level that it's still a ticketed event, but find a way to allow more people in. I just want to make that clarification. So
I think by streaming it, you're offering here, if you do not feel comfortable, here is a safe option, and you can view this from your home. You know, I heard loud and clear on the fine arts too, and if there's a way to get the fine arts represented, I do think there's some things that could be considered without us telling you what to do, but I think you're getting, the board's okay with holding a graduation at a ticketed event and seeing what these kids get to showcase for their graduation.
Sure. And in regard to the fine arts, I think, again, that will come down to actually, setting the chairs down and seeing what kind of real estate is left down there to accommodate anything else. Yep, I agree.
Is it possible to make the stage smaller? We can squish together and give more room to those kids.
That might be possible. Yes, that might be possible. I like that. All right.
We appreciate that. Again, this is uncharted territory, so you navigate these things. None of us asked for this, and so thank you very much.
You're welcome. I appreciate your words and your guidance. Thank you.
Then there will be a decision, and there will be some fast follow-up for people, because I know that it's, how do we do this?
Right.
Okay.
Well, the next letter, was going to follow up with the actual tickets that each family would get. So part of the reason for that delay also was for contingencies that might either say reduce the number of tickets or possibly increase. Yep.
And when is the next letter being sent out then?
What is today? The 10th? Yep. So probably beginning of next week.
Okay, so maybe just on behalf of people planning, you need time to meet, make a decision, but can we say middle to later week, at least there's an announcement or a text, something going out to families so that they have an idea of what the plan is, and then they know the tickets would arrive?
Absolutely.
Is that agreeable? Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you for your flexibility on this, because it is a moving target.
Yeah, it is, and it's been that way, it seems, all year, but we're here to work together, take care of our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Bransrud, for your work this year, too, with the COVID, and just an announcement, too, that Mr. Bransrud will be staying on as a principal next year, so we're excited to have him.
Okay, we move on to item 5.4, presentation of the preliminary budget. Why does the budget seem easier to deal with at how many millions of dollars than item 5.3?
I'll probably bore you all. Yeah, here we go. Thank you. The 2021-2022 preliminary budget was discussed in detail at the budget work session held on Monday, April 26th at Lake Area Technical College. The presented preliminary budget to operate the Watertown School District for the 21-22 school year is in the amount of $106,483,487.50, a decrease of 3.75% when compared to the previous year. This in most part is due to the prior year's accommodation of the $15 million issuance of the capital outlay certificates to support the high school renovation project. When the certificate is removed from the comparison, the proposed budget reflects an 11.35% increase, in large part contributed to the increased allocation in student financial aid to accommodate grants to students as federally required under the CARES federal funding. The general fund budget reflects a decrease when compared to the adjusted 2021 budget in the amount of $841,394, or 2.83%. The decrease is in large part due to accommodations made to support ESSER 1 funding and FTE increases and supply needs, as well as the approved CARES payroll supplement budgeted at $735,000 as offset through the coronavirus relief funds. The FY22 budget calls for the use of cash reserves in the amount of $975,505, with notation that $504,000 is budgeted for early retirement accommodations. A reminder that last fiscal year, a $1.1 million transfer was made from the pension fund in support of future expenditure allocations. It is estimated that the fund balance in this fund will decrease 3% from 28% to 25%. The state aid formula received a 2.4% increase by this year's legislature. The formula continues to calculate what is known as the student need number by using the district's enrollment in the calculation, and reduces that calculated number by the amount that can be generated locally in the form of local property taxes that the district can generate from the established dollars per thousand. This budget does reflect a transfer in from capital outlay in the amount of $1.2 million in support of costs that were previously accommodated by the capital outlay fund, along with support of salaries. In regards to the student need number and the enrollment calculation, it is important to note that enrollment has declined 100 students from 2015 to estimated 2022 fall enrollment, with an additional estimated decline of 150 students in the next 3 years. The total decrease in enrollment of 250 students is a $1.4 million decline from 2015 based on the current per student allocation. The revenue in the capital outlay fund is subject to the 3% plus growth limitation for taxes payable in 2022. This budget anticipates an increase in local property tax revenue, even though the dollars per thousand request will be somewhat lower due to the limitations placed on this fund back in 2016, which limits the growth to the CPI and new construction. The interest income includes the interest earned on the advanced refunded certificates that were placed in trust to accommodate the annual interest in the 2021 principal payment of refunded debt. The budget anticipates the use of $7.3 million of the $15 million set aside from the capital outlay certificates to accommodate the high school renovation project. When the use of the certificates is retained from the budget, the overall budget reflects an increase in reserves in the amount of $185,065. However, this is a bit deceiving due to the interest income noted from the advanced refunded certificates as a non-cash revenue. The current FY21 budget calls for a transfer out to the general fund in the amount of $1.2 million. Due to the $1.9 million received in coronavirus relief funds, the budget anticipates to decrease this transfer by $400,000. This decrease in expenditure will assist with future enrollment declines if necessary to transfer additional funding to support the general fund. The 5-year capital outlay plan is also included within the preliminary budget, which identifies several projects and building improvements along with other expenses accommodated by this fund over the next 5 years. The special education fund in the amount of $7.1 million reflects a decrease of $320,625 or 4.3% from the previous year. This in large part is due to the decline in purchase services due to a decrease in students receiving specialized services outside the district. There is a decrease in local property taxes as generated by the allowable dollars per thousands request, which decreased from 1.684 to 1.670 as established by the legislature annually. The individual disability categories of the state aid formula were adjusted to reflect a more accurate cost per disability. This preliminary budget projects that the revenue and will be exceeded by the expenses in the amount of $581,000. Thus, the budgeted transfer in from general fund and the use of cash reserves. With expenditures typically coming in at 97% of the budget, it is unlikely that the transfer will be needed. The preliminary budget also includes budgetary information related to the K-12 enterprise funds of nutrition services, concessions, driver's ed, and preschool services, as well as information related to the internal service funds of self-funded insurance and student financial aid programs. Lake Area's portion of the budget, with inclusion of their 3 enterprise funds, is proposed at $28,536,822, a decrease of 3.3%. This decrease would be due to the previous year's accommodation of the Prairie Lakes Healthcare Center of Learning, as well as budgeted expenditures to accommodate the CARES payroll supplement. Lake Area's main operating budget reflects a decrease when compared to the adjusted 2021 budget in the amount of $1,023,018 or 3.94%. The FY22 budget does not call for the use of cash reserves, with revenue generation including a 2.4% increase in the per student allocation, as well as a 2.4% increase in instructor salary support funding, as well as one-time funding for equipment in the amount of $3.3 million, up from $1.5 in FY21, an increase in maintenance and repair funding of $1.2 million, up from $505,000 in FY21. The budget assumes a student FTE of 2,000, up 50 students. It also includes notation in the increase to local fees to address inflation and specific program needs. The expenditures include raises aligned with the K-12 proposal and the projection of 6.5 additional FTEs. The preliminary budget also includes budgetary information related to the Lake Area Technical College enterprise funds of bookstore services, nutrition services, and daycare. The budget hearing will be set for July 12th at 5 p.m., in which the 21-22 budget will be brought forth to the board and the approved adoption will take place. Thank you, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Klassen. Are there questions? We have asked several questions prior to this date. Yes.
That is correct. The budget work session took care of a lot of those questions.
Yes.
I have one. When you present the full budget to us, will it have more detail as to specific, like co-curricular activities and how much is budgeted for each of those?
We won't have a split between each separate co-curricular. I assume you're asking in regards to girls basketball, boys basketball.
Fine arts, etc.
Yep, we have it split as it's combined sports. We have female athletics and male athletics. That's what we'll be providing. If you want more detail, you can certainly ask our office.
Okay.
Thank you. And just a note, this is your first independent budget, so thank you for your work and the revisions, and thank you for your efforts.
All right,
and
thank
your
you.
team. Okay, moving to action items for 4.4. We will have item 6.1. approval of the bills. Is there a motion to approve the bills?
I'll make the motion to approve the bills.
Thank you. Is there a second? We've got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on the bills? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 6.1 has been approved. Item 6.2, personnel. 6.2.1, we've got resignations.
Yes, we have certified, classified, and activity resignations for you. With the activity resignations, they are pending. Suitable replacement is found.
Is there a motion to approve the resignations?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on resignations? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 6.2.1 has been approved. Item 6.2.2, contract recommendations and addendums.
Yes, we are planning for summer, so this is a rather large group of people here, but it covers certified, classified activity positions, and then also curriculum, professional development, summer school, and driver's education.
Is there a motion to approve contract recommendations and addendums?
Presented.
Thank you. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6.2.2 has been approved. Item 6.2.3, authority to hire.
Yes, we are asking for additional 1.5 FTE for alternative education instructors.
Is there a motion for the authority to hire?
Motion to approve.
A second? Second. Motion and a second have been made. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, item 6.2.3 has been approved. Item 6.2.4, stipend requests.
Yes, these are graduate stipend requests for the summer session, and we have 3 people, 1 with 9 credits and 2 with 6 credits for the summer.
Is there a motion to approve 6.2.4?
Make the motion to approve the stipend requests.
Thank you, Mr. Stein. Is there a second? Thank you, Mrs. Reiber. Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor of approving stipend requests, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 6.2.4 has been approved. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6.3, property. There's 6.3.1, consider Johnson Controls facility bid.
Thank you. Johnson Controls has performed a facility study to identify updates to HVAC systems, including the replacement of rooftop units and unit vents. Facility updates also include boilers and burners that have been identified through the process. They have been working with local contractors on bidding out this project, and the overall bid will be approved under the Sourcewell contract, in which Johnson Controls is an approved vendor. We do have Tom Hunstead, I hope I said your last name correct.
That's correct.
From Johnson Controls. He is here, as well as Don Storm, our maintenance director. He has worked tirelessly on this project. They're here to answer any questions. The total bid is $2.2 million. This will use about 89% of the ESSER 2 allocation, which is $2.5 million. So we've identified that these are facility updates for our buildings that will help accommodate our 5-year capital outlay plan that we had identified these projects. So this will increase air quality in our buildings, as well as take care of a lot of those boiler needs that we had. So Tom is here to answer any questions that you guys may have, and maybe just follow up with a few items and identifications within the project.
Thank you for having me tonight. As you can see over at intermediate school, it'd be the rooftop replacements and the two boilers and a controls upgrade. Millette is a univent replacement, boiler replacement, and controls replacement, or controls upgrade. Roosevelt is a univent condensing unit replacement. Very simple there. You get over to Garfield and McKinley, they're comparable, just different numbers of pieces of equipment. You get to Jefferson, it's a controls upgrade and a boiler replacement. And then Lincoln, not being last, but it's a lot of univent replacement and a new condensing unit and cooling coil and controls. Most of the existing controls are pneumatic. There hasn't been a pneumatic installation done by Johnson Controls since 1997. I know that because I did that job. So that was the last time we did a pneumatics job. So.
So other words, Tom, you're saying that the pneumatics are antiquated and out of date?
Yes. As am I.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah. So what is the average longevity for a boiler, particularly like the one at the intermediate school that you're putting in?
You're going to get 20 to 25 years out of it. And that's with proper maintenance and water treatment.
So I imagine we put water filters on those?
The nice thing about the school district here is they've been using glycol for years, which really extends the life of the boilers. So.
Are there further questions? This is a nice opportunity with this funding that we're getting to use towards capital improvements and not deplete the capital fund. So thank you for your work on this. Thank you for coming to the meeting.
Thank you.
All right, so. Yep, okay, so moving forward with this, then we're going to need a motion to consider the Johnson Controls facility bid.
Move to approve the Johnson Controls facility bid.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Is there a second? Second. We've got a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 6.3.1 has been approved. Item 6.3.2, the consider paper bids.
Thank you. Yep, this is a standard bid that we put out each year for paper. Bids were received from 4 companies, and it is recommended that the bid received from Contract Paper Group Incorporated be accepted.
I move approval of the Contract Paper Group as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on the paper bids?
I have a question. Where are they out of, Ms. Clausen?
I'm sorry, I think Sioux Falls. Okay. I would have to look, though.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 6.3.2 has been met or approved. Item 6.4, authorize seeking of quotes for physical therapy services.
Yes, the Watertown School District is requesting permission to request proposals from qualified physical therapists to provide physical therapy services for children with disabilities.
Is there a motion?
I move authorization for quotes for physical therapy services.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 6.4 has been approved. Item 6.5, consider quotes for audit services.
Yes, it is recommended to authorize the single-year proposal received from ID Bailey LLP for audit services for the year ending 6/30/21.
Is there a motion for the audit services?
Move to approve the audit services.
Okay, we've got a motion and by Mr. Hardy, second by Mrs. Reiber. Any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? I got you, Scott. Okay. Okay, item 6.5 has been approved. Item 6.6, consider quotes for print management agreement.
Yes, and within your paperwork you received tonight, there is the identification for this. We received 4 competitive quotes in relation to print management services to control printer costs and optimize the use of printer equipment. It is recommended to approve the quote received from A&B Business in relation to print management services of the district.
Okay, is there a motion for acceptance of the A&B business quotes as presented?
I move approval of the A&B business quote for print management as presented.
Thank you. We've got a motion. Is there a second? Second. Okay, any comments or questions?
Just one question, why?
Yep, so we worked with our IT department on this. And if you look at the allocation of what they put for the copier services as well as for the color printing and then just regular copies, they are very, very close in the cost in relation to all of them that were supplied. However, there's one that allows for the Apple lease. They have, not Apple lease, but they work with Apple computers directly, so they have more of a service with that. And then they don't have a identification as all of our printers are different in all of our buildings. So some of them, there's a difference between the low amount and the high amount based on what printer it is. So with A and B, they chose to do just a standard average cost. So if you look at what we would have for printer needs at all of our buildings, that standard cost actually ends up to be lower than that minimum and maximum number that you see between the other companies.
Okay. I see under the length of contract recommended, you have 3, 4, or 5 years with A and B business. That may be, there may be an opportunity to potentially do some further negotiating with the rates if you lock in for a longer term on the 5-year.
Yep. Thank you for that. And another thing with the quoting of the service is you don't have to lock into a standard amount of time. So at any time we could go out for quotes again if we're not 100% satisfied with what we're dealing with as well. So we will work with them on that as well. So there's a lot of moving parts with the print management agreement. It's not just a standard. So we followed up with a lot of the questions, and IT did a really nice job making sure we followed up with what we wanted to see from each of the companies. So thank you for the question.
Are there other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 6.6 has been approved. Item 6.7, consider 2021-2022 membership in the South Dakota High School Athletic Association.
Yes, this is our annual resolution to become a member of the South Dakota High School Activities Association. We are recommending that we continue that relationship for our activities.
Is there a motion? Is there a motion to approve the participation?
So move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. 6.7 has been approved. Item 6.8, consider positions for the South Dakota High School Athletic Association's Board of Directors.
Thank you. The first one I'm asking you to vote on is the West River at-large representative to be filled by an athletic or activity director. There are 4 candidates: James Bagwell, Crazy Horse, Cooper Garnis, Lyman, Kelly Messmer, Harding County, and Todd Palmer from Sturgis. We are recommending Todd Palmer from Sturgis. He's the AA rep out of that group.
Is there a motion to approve Todd Palmer from Sturgis?
Motion to approve Mr. Palmer.
We've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Todd Palmer has our vote. Moving to The next ballot.
The next one is the Division III representative to be filled by a member school superintendent. And there's only one candidate, and so rather than leave our ballot blank, I am recommending I am recommending Derek Barrios from Elk Point Jefferson for that position.
Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mrs. Reiber. Is there a second?
Second.
Seeing any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor of approving the vote for Derek Barrios, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that has been approved.
The final one is a Division IV representative to be filled by an athletic or activity director. There are 5 nominees: Kyle Courtney from Rapid City Christian, Eric Denning from Mount Vernon, Jeff Costers, Frederick Area, Brent Maresca, Teospa Topa, and John Meyer from Waverly South Shore. We are recommending John Meyer from Waverly South Shore for that position.
Is there a motion for casting our vote for John Meyer?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We have our ballot cast.
And
Yep.
And then our final Activity Association item is an amendment ballot, and this is amendment number 1, which is a proposal to change the enrollment classification from the current ADM to using the fall enrollment count to distinguish our sports classifications or activities classifications. We are recommending a yes vote on amendment number 1 to make the change.
And just to clarify, that's moving to item 6.9 in the budget. So the prior votes were for 3 separate positions under 6.8. So 6.9, is there a motion to approve as stated?
Motion to vote yes on the amendment.
Thank you for the clarification, Mrs. Reiber. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to vote yes. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we vote yes on amendment number 1. Item 6.10, set the annual budget hearing date as July 12th, 2021 at 5 p.m. Is there a motion to approve this?
Move to approve that date.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Is there a second? Second. We've got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? All right, we will set the annual budget hearing at 5 prior to the regular board meeting at 5:30. Student 6.11, student enrollment requests.
We do not have any open enrollments this month, but we do have 2 132810s that we are recommending for your approval.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the 132810s.
We've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item, the 132810s have been approved. Moving to communications, 7.1, I will turn that over to you, Dr. Danielson.
Thank you. A nice announcement for the 21-22 school year is that student meals will again be free for the entire school year for all students. That's through the Federal Recovery Act. So that has been announced here recently. The staff tea, which typically has been held, and I want to, it will be it'll be on Wednesday at 3:45 on the 4th floor of Lake Area to recognize our retirees and then our certified and classified staff members of the year. I want to note a big thank you. Last week was Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week, and so again, a heartfelt thank you and congratulations to get us this point in the school year. I know we've had several updates throughout the year and got to know the term fluid way more than we wanted to, as we found out even tonight when we were planning graduation as far as a fluid situation. And thank everybody on our staff for their flexibility, for their patience, and their persistence to get through this school year. We've got 2 Mondays left, folks, so we do appreciate all the work that our staff is doing, and you know, it's been a heck of a year, but we did it, so we're you know, we're there. And then another plug for the project day at Northeast Tech on Wednesday the 12th, also noon to 6:30. I think that's it.
All right, is there any board report to superintendent?
I think maybe Ms. Clausen
I'm
has
sorry.
one announcement too.
Yes, we will be having a school board election on June 15th. The 3 candidates are Carrie Lohr, Stephen Jaden, and John Iverson. They are both running for 2 3-year terms. And absentee votes can be received at City Hall beginning on May 28th.
Thank you. Are there any board reports to superintendent?
The Chamber of Commerce is holding a Meet the Candidates tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. in the Event Center for school board.
Thank you, and my understanding is the school board candidates will actually be the first group up at 6, so if people are looking for school board only, it's right away at 6.
Okay. Item 8.0, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? I move we adjourn. Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Got a motion and a second. Comments or questions? Anyone want to hang around for a while? All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. We are adjourned.